This is the plaintiff, Michael Grenier. He says the defendant hired him to build a log cabin, work he's been doing for 40 years. After several months, the defendant freaked out, told him not to come on the property, and told him he was done. The defendant told him he made a lot of huge mistakes, so they both called the building inspector, and turns out he made a 1-inch mistake on the windows. He told him he would correct it at no additional cost, but the defendant refused. So here we are. He's suing for $5,000, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Sean Hole. He says he's a chef and has no idea how to build a log cabin, so he put his faith in the plaintiff that he'd do a good job. Well, the plaintiff installed the windows, and an expert told him they would rot out in 5 years because he made a mistake. He lost trust in the plaintiff. He had to hire a new builder to correct the problems, and the plaintiff has the audacity to sue him? Please. He's accused of stopping the build. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,000 for repairs of the plaintiff's work.
All parties, please use your right hands. The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Grenier, what do you do for a living?
Now I am retired. I was a contractor.
Okay, but you used to build log homes?
That was part of my work, yes.
What was the rest of it?
General carpentry, conventional homes, additions, remodeling, garages.
Okay.
Things of...
Were you a general contractor?
Yes, I was.
Were you licensed?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so the defendant hires you to build a kit log cabin, correct? Like it comes, it was ordered from a certain manufacturer, and you've got to put it together, but it's from a kit with specifications, correct?
Correct.
And when did you start that? And what month do you sign the contract with them?
We signed the contract in, I think it was March of 2019.
Okay, does that sound right, Mr. Hool?
It was signed on 3/21/19 is when we signed the contract.
Okay, so when do you start work on it?
I started work on it in middle or latter part of April.
According to the contract, it lists everything that you're supposed to do, and then it has a payment schedule. The total that you're supposed to be paid is $52,700, correct? And Mr. Huell, you are providing the kit?
Yes, I had bought the kit.
Okay, and Mr. Grenier, there is certain stepped up payments, like at the signing of the contract, you were to receive $7,500, which you did. At the cap on the foundation and 4 feet of log up, you were to receive $7,500, which you did. The remainder of logs and roof-framed porch roof and deck completed, you were to receive another $10,000, which you did. And the fourth payment is where things went wrong, where it says stud walls, loft area, windows, and exterior doors installed, exterior doors and windows trimmed out. You're supposed to get a $14,000 payment for that. And that's all the work that was included in the $14,000, right?
Correct.
All right. Now, at some point, he tells you, I don't want you to come back. Tell me how that came up.
I went to the job one morning. I got there before my helpers got there. And as I pulled in, Sean came up to my truck and he said, get your stuff, get your trailer, you're all done. And I said, I was really flabbergasted. I never saw this coming. And I said to him, I said, what's going on? What did I do? And he just said, take your stuff, get out of here. And again, I said to him, what did I do wrong, Sean? And he said, a whole bunch of stuff. And I said, like what? And I said, Sean, let's talk about this and figure out what's going on. And he just said, no, I'm done with you. Get out.
Okay, so
So
Mr. Hewell, let me
I
ask
left.
you, what was the problem?
So the problem that I had was all of the doors and windows that Mr. Grenier installed would have rotted out in 5 years. As you can see by the pictures I submitted, none of the doors and windows were installed correctly. I had tons of arguments with Mr. Grenier. He kept stating that the log home company sent the wrong doors and windows. On the 13th, I had a conversation with Mr. Grenier.
13th of what?
August. The day before he was let go. He was let go on the 14th of August. I stated I was not happy with the doors and windows. He also stated, Sean, I'm not happy with the doors and windows. I said, would you please get on the phone with the log home company. I have an engineer that is willing to talk with you and walk you through these windows. But he kept saying, nope, they sent the wrong ones, the wrong windows, the wrong doors, they're the wrong size, which was not the case. They had sold 40 of those houses. They had 2 issues the whole time, and one of them was Mr. Grenier. And yes, that's exactly how it went. When he showed up the next
Okay,
morning.
so why are you talking about being flabbergasted, dumbfounded, and having no idea what was happening if he's telling you the windows and doors don't look right? And what was it that made you think it didn't look right?
Judge, I'm a chef by trade, and I don't know anything about building houses. But when there's gaps in the wood, it looked like I could have put the windows and doors in better. If you look at one of the pictures, the door isn't lined up with the logs, as you can see there. Again, not lined up with the logs. Right here, you can see the molding of the door is totally away from the wall, where it should be flush with the wall. And if it was flush with the wall, it would be all lined up with the logs on the other side. Right here, you can see the stripe plate on the inside of the wall, which that should be in the center of the wall, which he was saying they sent the wrong size doors, so that's why he was trying to do it that way, which I could tell as a cook that you can see that the water line in the wood right there and the gap in the wood, it's just not done as it should be. As you can see right there was actually an extra ½ inch that was cut out of the window. These should have been easy for a contractor. They were just set in windows and go. You can just tell anybody who puts in windows too now that I've learned should be using screws to put in windows and not nails.
All right. Do you have pictures afterwards?
Yes, I
of
sent
it
those.
corrected?
Yes.
Okay.
And they came out beautiful after they were redone.
Okay. What am I looking at?
Right there, that is a completed door that was all done and reframed. You can see that there's one piece. Mr. Grenier's way to fix, when I gave him the opportunity to fix everything, his thing was he was going to put, instead of 2 pieces of trim on the window, he was going to put one big thick piece of trim on the window. And that's why he was let go from the job, because that was not the way to fix them. You can see how beautiful they're right out to the logs. They're the way that they should be.
Tell me what happened with the stairs. What was the problem with the stairs?
Mr. Grenier installed, both sets were too long. The rise in height was not calculated correctly, and the stairs were actually too long for the house, which caused us to fail a building inspection. Right.
Let me ask you a question about the failure of the building inspection, because according to him, the staircases passed inspection. He was getting passes all the time. When did you say this is wrong, this isn't right, and figure out that it wasn't according to the specs? When did you figure that out? Who helped you to figure that out, I guess?
The building inspector. There was an issue with the building inspector, which I know is not going to help me. That there was a building inspector, he had gotten fired, and then we got taken over by another building inspector, and half of the paperwork wasn't handed in. I know this. It's all I can say is go on my word by it. But we were failed.
Well, no, I'm not going to go. I don't go by litigants' words. I require proof.
Absolutely.
But I don't understand. I see that the stairs failed, but I see that they failed in January. After he's already off the job.
Yeah, no, that has nothing to do with him, that failure. This was a failure from previous it wasn't logged.
So it's not logged. All right, well, how are you going to prove to me that the stairs needed to be redone?
Well, I mean, I have the bill of sales to prove that they had to be redone. That's
from what company? What company did the correction work?
It was a guy named Al Cheney. He was a general contractor. and I submitted all of those.
Okay, because I see the receipt on Al Cheney. That's just typewriting on a piece of paper. I don't even see a logo. I don't see, like, you know what I'm saying? I see nothing on this. So you don't have the failure. Right, you don't have the failure, the failed inspection to show me, and you also, it's just typewriting on a piece of paper with a signature of Al Cheney. Do you have proof you paid Al Cheney, like a canceled check?
I probably
I'll take
paid
that.
cash.
Okay, now we're kind of done on that issue. Mr. Grenier, the windows and doors are supposed to be, you know, they're flush, and you saw in the pictures of how it could look when he got them repaired and how it looked when you did it. What was the deal there?
Your Honor, pertaining to the windows and the doors, I told Mr. Hool after I did call the manufacturer. He asked me to call them. I called them. I discussed with a gentleman that was handling his house. And my discussion with him, I said, are there times where you have to pad the windows to finish the trim? I don't know if he didn't understand what I meant by that, but he said, yes, there are times where you have to pad the windows.
Okay, that's what we call rank hearsay. Do you have something from the company that manufactures a kit that supports what you just said?
No, I don't.
Because it's a kit, it's supposed to fit, right? That's the whole point of the kit.
Well,
so can you prove what you're saying, yes or no?
No, I can't prove that.
Okay. What did your new contractor end up doing? You hire a new contractor on August 21st, Mr. Huell, and he charges you $700 in material and $15,000 for the labor in order to correct the windows and doors. Is that all just for the windows and doors? I will be removing the 3-wall pilaster studs. What's that about?
So those were wall studs that were improperly installed by Mr. Grenier. They weren't even touching the walls. They're as you stack logs up, they become unstable. So you put in these wall stabilizers to actually suck the wall up against this big beam on the inside to hold the wall up. They were not installed correctly. The right tools were not used to put the studs in the wall. All of those had to be redone, as well as the doors and windows.
Do you have the proof of payment? How much have you paid the new contractor?
I paid him $15,700.
Oh, you paid him the whole thing?
Yes.
Is the log cabin done?
Yes, it is.
Are you living in it?
I'm sitting in it right now, Judge. It's beautiful.
There you go. All right. Okay, good for you. Can I ask you a question? I know that you didn't pay that in cash, so do you have a receipt from?
The builder.
Did you introduce that into evidence? Because I don't see that.
It was paid by a check. We made sure we paid that one by check.
So all of the payments to the new contractor are by check, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So, and according to you, it cost you the $15,700 just to correct the stuff that Mr. Grenier was, actually he was charging $14,000 for that stuff, but also some closets or whatever, but it cost you $15,700, so you're actually out $1,700. According to you, you're also out the $2,200, but I gotta tell you, it's kind of, you know, if you have, you know what I'm saying, that I don't think you've really proven your counterclaim on that. But Mr. Grenier, assuming Mr. Huell shows me the canceled checks where he had to shell out $15,700 to correct the windows and doors, why would you be entitled to any more money? He would be the one who's entitled to $1,700. Assuming he actually paid that, and I can see from the pictures of before and after, then what's the answer?
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff says he did a fantastic job working on the defendant's log cabin, but the defendant says the job was an absolute disaster, that the plaintiff was using nails when he should have used screws. It was a mess, and he couldn't let him finish the job. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Your Honor, I never disputed, that I did install the windows improperly. I had a conversation with Sean about 4 to 5 days after I left the property. And he said to me, he goes, you install the windows and the doors in the wrong position. And I said, no, I didn't. I reviewed the prints and I found that I did install the doors and the windows. I was 1 inch off.
Yeah, but that
one,
matters, you know? I mean, you're hired because you have experience doing it, but the 40 years don't do your customer any good if you don't read. You got to read, and you got to do it according to specification. That's what you got hired for. That's what you were making 60 grand for. So it's not like, you know, it's kind of not okay that they're an inch off all over, because an inch off, once you're long gone and retired, he then ends up having water leaks and mold and problems, you know? There's a reason why it has to fit tight and right. So in this case, in your lawsuit against him, I say 0. In his counterclaim against you, assuming that you show me the canceled checks, which I'll give you, you know, you can do that now with my staff, but I'll give you 24 hours or 48 hours to prove that to me, that you actually paid that $15,700. I find that you owe him $1,700. That is my verdict. Good luck, folks.
He owes me.
He owes you?
I'm gonna interview you.
I can't believe they ruled in favor of him.
Well, there is one excited defendant there, no question about that. Mr. Grenier, let me ask you a couple of questions. When you kept saying they're the wrong windows and doors, why didn't you contact the company to get the correct ones? Why did you try to install them?
I did contact the company, and we had 2 or 3 discussions regarding the windows. And again, as I said to the judge, I don't know if the manufacturer, when I had the discussion, misunderstood what I told him, or possibly I could have misunderstood what he told me. But after talking with Sean Houle, and he told me that I put the windows in the wrong position, when I went back to the prints, I saw that I had put the windows in the wrong position. But he never gave me.
Well, look, that's enough. We talked about that during the case. Let me ask you one other thing. Are you surprised you lost this case?
Yes, I am, because number one, there was nothing wrong with anything else in the house other than the doors and the windows. The building inspector did an inspection on the house and did not find anything wrong with what I had done other than positioning the windows in the wrong spot, which I would have.
Well, the point is that was enough.
I would have had the opportunity.
That was enough to really cause the problem, and the defendant had to pay $17,000 more to correct your mistake. So I'm sorry, that's why you lost. You've got to give him money back.
I want to see him prove those bills, because as far as I'm concerned, anybody who gets paid $15,000 for about 2 days worth of work, they must be a brain surgeon.
All right, we'll find out. All right, let me talk to the defendant now, Mr. Houle. You were one excited guy. You were cheering when the judge gave her decision.
This has been a long time coming, and I always knew that we were in the right, and it's a big relief to be over.
Was it tough for you to kick him off the job?
Not with the work that he had done. For somebody who had been building log homes for as long as he has, and to try to pass that work off, I don't understand it.
Yeah, you were really mad at him the day you did that. Anyway, you're in the house now. Do you love it? Is it great?
I love it, and I would definitely not build a log cabin again, but I'm happy to be in it. It's beautiful, and we're moving on.
All right, well, congratulations. You're going to get $1,700 back. Okay. And with that, we'll wrap up this case, and let's join Judge Melian and her husband, Judge John, for another session of After the Verdict.
Marilyn, as people who work in the world of written words and spoken words for most of our lives, you and I both have a lot of respect for builders and contractors and engineers.
And I come from a long line of contractors.
Your father was a contractor.
My brother's a contractor.
Right. But if you're working with a contractor and you're building a house, if they make a minor mistake, and no one's perfect, minor mistakes occur. you probably have an obligation to let them try to correct that minor mistake, correct?
Sure, absolutely.
But in this instance, the mistakes were so egregious and the variances were so significant on important parts of the house, you really didn't see it that way.
I don't see it that way because, I mean, this isn't like a minor problem. It's a problem that he kept asking him to fix. And the plaintiff's response was, oh, they sent the wrong size windows and doors. Right. Then it turns out, oh, no, that's true. I did mess it up. But when we look at those pictures, it's very obvious that it's not lining up right. So if you lose faith in the structural integrity of your house, all he's getting paid for is exactly this. It's to make sure there's structural integrity. He's getting paid 60 grand for this. Come on, read the specs. So then what? Oh, and then I realized after he complained a lot, and I talked to the manufacturer that, oh yeah, I did do this wrong. But that's all it is. It's just an inch. What's an inch among friends? Right. You know, it's like, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play? Right. You know, that's pretty major. I don't want you touching the rest of my house if you couldn't get that right.
Right. And yeah, these are significant issues. They're not tiny little trimmings around the edges, staircases, windows, doors, structural areas of the house.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't win on the staircases because he didn't have, you know, oh, I paid cash and it's just like typewriting on a piece of paper. I never like when I see that because you couldn't meet the burden manufacture that. You need to be able to prove your counterclaim just like the plaintiff has to prove their claim. And so I would have wanted to see canceled checks, you know, a bill that was on actual letterhead that I can see that it's a legitimate complaint. But that coupled with the fact that the defendant didn't have the failure of the stairs to show me, that I just threw out that part of his lawsuit. But the other $1,700 that it cost him to fix the stuff, that's not minor.
He deserved to get that money back.
Yeah.
Spoken like a builder's daughter.
Well, Dave, the first difference, obviously, is that Wapner was a man and Milian is a woman. More significantly, Judge Milian, significantly younger, obviously, than Judge Wapner was when Judge Wapner took the bench. He was about 64. And the fact is that society has changed. And I think that there is more humanity that goes into these decisions these days than in the traditional sense of what small claims courts did. I think there is more of a sense of really striving, not just for law, but for justice. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.